an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now, come on now.
Welcome to another episode of Never Date Just One, Sis. It is your host, Arthur China T, Coach Erica, and we are continuing this effort to learn how to roster date or date properly if it's the last thing that we do. We are still in the holiday giving, loving season, so we're going to continue these lessons because in just a few days it's going to be a new year, and you can't take those old habits that refuse to die into a new year and expect different results. If you don't end them this year, you're going to be getting the same type of men, different name, different faces, different addresses, same game, run over you over and over and over again. I don't want that for you, sis. So whether you're taking part and learn how to roster date, or if you're taking these lessons to learn how to date, you all need to know exactly what comes with it and what you should stop doing, because what you've done thus far, as you can see, hasn't been working. I definitely want to make sure that we are in a space of taking accountability for those we allow in our life. And that's one of the main reasons why a lot of you can't move past the healing part, is because you're still pointing fingers, still blaming others, but you never point them back at you. You never take accountability. And because you refuse to look at yourself and evaluate, self-evaluation, where you were at the time that you was in these relationships, relationship evaluations, it's no wonder why you keep having the same things show up with different dudes, and now you don't even trust your judgment, so now you feel like you just want to bump it. I just be single. I'm happier single. Nobody's happy being single. You may have become content in being by yourself. You may have even learned to be alone with yourself. But there is no happiness from single. Now, there may only be a little bit of it from somebody who comes from a narcissistic, abusive relationship. When they finally get out, if they survive, they of course are going to be relishing in their happiness of being single only for a little while, because bad habits die hard. They're going to eventually be looking for somebody else to fill the void that's always been there, even in the abusive relationship. You just have to learn how to take accountability for the things that you allowed in your life, because how did somebody gain access to your home if you never let them in? Unless they broke in, you would have had to open up your door willingly to let them in. That's your heart, that's your body, that's your mind, your emotions, your finances. They did not, unless you were held up at gunpoint and robbed, you let those people in willingly. So you have to take accountability. That's what we're going to jump into today. Learning how to take accountability for the people we allowed in our life. If they were in our life at whatever season, it was a reason for that, okay? It could have been, again, those issues that we don't want to deal with, abandonment, attachment, mommy issues, daddy issues. That could be the source behind why they were there. It could also be the fact that you don't like to be alone. You just feel like loneliness is going to take you over. That may be a reason why they were there. There's so many reasons for the people who we allow in our life at the time that we allow them in. Sometimes when we grow from that, we say, dang, what was I doing with that person? Dang, why was I friends with her? Dang, what was going on with me? Because you had to take a hard look at yourself through a self-evaluation to see that you were the reason why that person was there. But it also because of the energy that you was giving off during that time, you wasn't going to be able to attract nobody who was going to come in and do you how you deserve to be done. Accountability is very powerful. It is the most empowering steps in healing and growth. And I told y'all the first part of Never Date Just One is taking you through some healing. If you haven't gotten your copy of 31 Days to Internal Satisfaction, where you definitely got to take accountability to everything that's going on for them 31 days, we're going to incorporate in 31 Days to Internal Satisfaction along with Never Date Just One. Okay, at some point, if not in January, then possibly late, either February or March. I'm leaning more towards March, but whatever the case is, you have time to get your copy of it if you want to go through it. But accountability is an empowering step in healing and growth. Like, you are not going to be able to fully heal until you take accountability. You're not going to be able to grow until you take accountability. It forces you to confront the truth, self-evaluations, relationship evaluations. Many of the people you allowed in your life, especially romantically, were reflections of where you stood emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and sometimes financially at that time. They came in because where you were. If you didn't think of yourself as valuable, you attracted those who thought you were useful. If you didn't think of yourself as worthy, you attracted those who treated you like you were worth nothing but the manure on the bottom of their shoe. People only are allowed in your life based on where you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Before you truly loved yourself, you was out there just running amok, trying to figure out, first of all, who you were. And then, second of all, what your needs were, needs assessment. But now you have Never Date Just One that's going to hold you accountable for getting your needs assessment completed. So now that you know what your needs are, it's going to help you set those standards and be firm on those standards, never to deviate away from them. It's going to also make you set those boundaries and enforce those boundaries so that you no longer give those who do not want to be there, who should not be there, an opportunity to even come across your threshold to give you excuses about why they can't and why they won't do for you as they should. I had this incident with now my old hairdresser. I will no longer be going to her for any other services ever again. I don't even want to see her. I don't even care if she lives or dies. I don't care anything about her. You think it's mean? I'm being honest, because I think that the lady was just very rude to me for no reason. And she wasn't even who I was talking to or who I even gear any of my material at. But anyhow, she was on my Facebook friends list, and one night she was up late, because people who are bothered by life will be up late. She was up late and she was going through Facebook stories, I'm assuming, and she came across my story. Of course, you know I'm in there talking about Never Date Just One Sis, because I don't, wherever I got a social media profile, Never Date Just One Sis is a catalyst of what I'm talking about. That's all my content. So she was listening to something in my story, and then she decided to send me a message. And in her message, she was basically saying that she doesn't support it. She doesn't like it because she doesn't feel like you should have to spread yourself thin and talk to multiple men throughout the city. These are the thoughts of a woman who knows that she fucks too soon. Okay, the only women who feel like they don't want to spread themselves are the ones who know that they allow their sexual prowess to take advantage of them, and they find themselves on their back for men that don't want nothing else with them but that. So she went on to give her reason of why she don't like it. And she said that's why she doesn't promote it for me. The thing about it is I never asked her to promote it. So I don't even know where she came up with promoting it. I don't know why she would assume that I would ask her, of all people, to promote something that probably would do her great, but I would have never asked her to promote. So for her to be sending me those messages and I wake up to them at like 6 something in the morning because you've been up, because you haven't been asleep, because your mind is wandering, it threw me for a loop. But I immediately responded to her, and I was trying to explain to her what I mean by masculine energy and feminine energy, and how she's been doing everything her entire life. She started having kids in high school, so she had to raise 3 kids by herself. Yes, they're all from the same father, but he didn't do anything with those children at all. Okay, so she had to raise 3 kids by herself. She had to always take care of households by herself, where she ended up buying her own house by herself. She bought her house in her 20s and thought that was a feat and that was a goal. But what it is, it led to now you're in your 40s and you hate being a homeowner. You want to sell it, but you got 17 more years on paying on it, and you've been paying on it forever. Okay, this is coming from her, so don't think that I'm telling you anything. I'm just pulling out the sky. All right. On top of that, she's bought all of her cars by herself, so she's never had anybody co-sign for her. She's had to do all of that stuff on her own. Now, I had to teach her about credit and help her get some credit cards and all this stuff. She didn't even realize that she had already started building credit by going to get those cars, even though they was cash cars or they was coming from those buy here, pay here financing lots. Didn't even know that you had credit. I'm the one who introduced her to credit and helped her get her first credit card. Moving along from that. But she had to do all of the things on her own, and so with that being said, trying to invite men into moving to your home, you got to understand, ladies, that whenever you go out and you start buying houses and you start buying cars, you're letting these men know that you are trying to deal with that. You got it. You got it like that. You may act like you need help, but all they see is that the empire is already built. Remember I told you about the building and the growth? You want to grow with somebody who comes in with those same exact things so y'all can build a massive empire. You don't want to try to let somebody come on you, but you've already built your empire and they're going to use that to their advantage, because why would they help you? If they wasn't there, you still was going to have it. So I'm trying to tell her about the masculine and feminine energy. She's been in her masculine energy for too long because she's had to do everything on her own. And she assumed that I was saying that she was masculine in her physical, that she looked like a man. And she in turn turned around and insulted me and said I look more masculine than her.
But this speaking from the ego, because I've been soft before, and I've asked men for money before, and I never got any. I've asked a man for the light bill money. I had to actually ask like 5 or 6 times for the light bill money. You know the light bill needs to be paid, and you live with me. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to. Those things I shouldn't have to ask for. I'm a female. Those are things that you know that I need. You know what I'm saying? They don't make me hard. They don't make stop trying to call me masculine. I'm not masculine. You look more masculine than me. Okay, I got mad. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I got mad. I'm just playing. I'm just joking.
That's all I needed, because the old version of me with a red hair from A to Z. I'm from Miami. I just want to start there. Y'all hear Tia Kemp? Y'all hear Geisha 305? I am from Miami. I will tell you some things that'll make you go to that corner, judge yourself, cry, and then want to commit suicide, because I can do that. But that's when I'm on the low vibrations. I'm no longer on those vibrations. I have no reason to come back at her and say ugly words to her. At the end of the day, if I look more masculine, guess what? I got married. You're still trying to get there. That's right. She can't even get to being engaged. You see where I'm going? You see how low vibration I can go? All I'm going to say is one thing, ma'am. I was married. Somebody took value of me to marry you. You still out there asking some man 5 or 6 times to help you pay your light bill. I can read her to filth, but I'm not going to, because when I can just separate and get out of that, because that's energy I don't need around me. I don't want nobody else hands in my head like that, who think like that. That means that you have been talking about me to your other customers and talking about me behind your back for years since you said that. And all that about I was just joking. When you say stuff out of anger, it's never a joke. It's real. It was never a joke. As you can see, she took no accountability into being the woman who was going to carry men. She took no accountability of the men she allowed in her house. Why would you allow a man to move in with you just because you bought this house and expect him to come in just because you're a woman and do all these things, but you never set the standard? You just thought it went like that. And that's because you be listening to your homegirls and seeing on social media what's happening with these other women, and she thought that she would get that from whatever nigga, because I don't even use that word, but whatever nigga she thought she was going to get that from did not give it to her. And instead of her listening to my words and everything that I'm saying, even coming over here to the YouTube channel, she thought insulting me by my looks was going to make me come down to her level when I can just move past her. Because, baby, again, I got married. I was married. You know what I'm saying? I don't have relationships trying me like that. Anyways, taking accountability is what she did not do. Before you loved yourself, set standards, or enforce boundaries, you may have attracted and entertained individuals who had no business being in your space, i.e. what you just heard in the last story. The aftermath can leave you upset and frustrated, but the key to moving forward lies in taking responsibility of your role in those situations. And instead of her saying, well, you know what, let me just sit down and see what Coach Erica talking about. No, I'm just going to tell her she's talking from an ego standpoint. No, she's just trying to talk down on me. How can I talk down on you when I'm trying to help you see exactly what needs to be seen? Just take accountability that those men came in and did that because you allowed them to. And if you never opened up your home and opened up your door, they would have never been able to do that. But none of that was done, except she thought that she was insulting me when she lost a customer that has been coming to her for almost 20 years. Will no longer go to her anymore. So here's a deeper dive into what it means to own your past and why accountability is the foundation for your self-love, higher standards, and healthier boundaries. First of all, you got to recognize the patterns of your past. Relationship evaluation, self-evaluation is going to help you recognize all those patterns. That's why you need to get your copy of Never Date Just Once, sis, because you need to do both of them. So you can recognize your patterns and see exactly where you was going wrong. Not the people you allowed in, because they only did what you allowed them to do. Before you redevelop self-love and clarity, you likely made choices from a place of insecurity, loneliness, and lack of direction. That is how most women are, because unfortunately, I told y'all, schools taught us the total opposite. They taught us sex ed when they did teach it. They did not teach us emotional intelligence. They did not teach us the relationship pyramids. They didn't teach us that. They taught us how to have sex and the consequences of that. So you learned this thing backwards, and it's affecting you now. This can result in collecting bodies. Y'all remember I told y'all about collecting those bodies, and those bodies that do nothing, want to do nothing with you but be collected. Okay? Engaging in casual or shallow connections, hoping they will lead to something meaningful. Engaging in shallow or casual things, allowing a man to move in your house. Standards was not set. Now you're mad because he won't give you money for your bills. You never set that standard. Ignoring red flags. Overlooking bad behavior because you fear rejection or you need validation. So you'll overlook the fact that prior to him moving into your house, he wasn't doing nothing for you then. And you still allow him to move in because you like what he had over there, sexual. So you moved in and thought it was going to morph into something else, and it never did. Confusing attention for love. Believing that someone's interest, no matter how inconsistent or self-serving, was proof of your worth. So busy looking for validation from others that you didn't even realize that the little bit of attention they was giving you was not even attention that you should have been going after. But you thought they liked you and they used it against you. When you look back at your choices, it's essential that you admit that you allow some people to stay too long in your life. Instead of you giving them their walking papers, you allowed them to stay too long into your life because you did not know your own value. You became useful to them. We talked about that yesterday. So because you lack value, you were useful to the man who needed you to be useful when he needed you to be useful. Now, how lack of standards and boundaries have hurt you. Without standards and boundaries, you left yourself open to disrespect, being misused, and even agreeing to the heartbreak. And you're going to be like, I didn't agree to the heartbreak. You did. You ignored the red flags. You ignored the inconsistent behavior. You ignored the self. You allowed the attention to be confused with loved. And yes, you did. Yes, you did allow that heartbreak. Okay. So without boundaries, people took advantage of your time, your energy, and your emotions because you did not enforce any limits. You settled for breadcrumbs, mistaking a bare minimum effort for genuine care. Again, you accepted little parts of attention. You accepted cheap dates and you thought that was how it was going to go. And it didn't go nowhere. You picked up speed, crashed, and burned. And then there was a self-betrayal. You repeatedly said yes when you wanted to say no, putting others before you in hopes that they would value you. Too many times. I would cringe if I had to ask a man who lived in my home more than once to help with a bill. I would have cringed. Okay, but that's exactly what the hairdresser did. So you see what I'm talking about? Self-betrayal. She betrayed herself because when she wanted to tell him to get out, she didn't tell him to get out. I'm pretty sure he had to leave on his own when he got tired of being there and all those expectations. The truth is, these experiences were painful because you clashed with a deeper desire to be respected and loved. You wanted to be loved and respected so bad by this man, by any man, that you overlook things that you should not have been overlooking. However, you can't demand respect from others if you haven't set the example by respecting yourself. I told you, you will teach others how to treat you, how to love you, how to value you, how to respect you by you doing it to yourself. What they don't see happening, they will not emulate because you're not even giving them an example of what it looks like. Accountability versus blame. Accountability isn't about blaming yourself for the harm others cause. It's about acknowledging your part in allowing access. You chose to let certain people in, even if they showed signs of inconsistency, showed signs that you were unworthy, showed signs of they are not trustworthy, and was depleting your energy. You still allowed them in. You overlooked behaviors by ignoring those warning signs and those red flags, hoping that they would change and improve. I know all too well with that. The same thing with my ex-husband. I ignored red flags. I was so vibrant and flying, they was just screaming for me to pay attention. But I thought if I married him, that those red flags would change and maybe he would become a better man. Absolutely not. That was my bad. I took accountability for that. That's why I got out of there. Staying too long. You held on to connections that were harmful, thinking that you could fix the situation or person. 5 years, 4 years on the outside, almost 1 year as a wife. held on too long, thinking that if I loved him past whatever he was going through, that maybe he would stop doing what he was doing that was hurting us, our relationship. It wasn't cheating. It definitely wasn't other women. It was other addictions that I could not change. But I stayed too long. I should have been the woman who got away, never the woman that married him. So, taking accountability empowered me to recognize where I went wrong so I can avoid repeating those mistakes in the future. And it was not about me feeling guilty. It was about me growing. And that's how it should be for you. Take accountability to where you went wrong, of who you allowed in your life, the red flags that you ignored. And what it's going to make you do is grow, because you know that you're not going to allow that next time. Standards are set. Boundaries are set. Needs assessment completed. You already know what it is and what it ain't, and what you will not allow. Why accountability is key to self-love. You can't fully love yourself without taking responsibility of how you treated yourself in the past. Remember I told y'all that self-apology? You got to go to the mirror. You got to apologize to yourself. Tell self, I'm sorry for taking me through A through Z. And don't accept that same apology that day, because you're not ready to. Now you got to go build on that, because you got to go heal all the mess that happened for you to even be in that mirror apologizing to yourself. This is what self-love comes in, okay? It'll require you to forgive yourself eventually. You got to apologize to self, but you're not ready to forgive until you fully have healed whatever things have made you become this person. You got to let go of shame and guilt over the choices you made when you didn't know better. Because I told you, if you don't know better, you cannot do better. So you can't be blaming yourself for that. You have to learn your worth. Understand that you deserve respect, kindness, and reciprocity in all the relationships that you have. Family, friends, lovers, children. If you are not getting those things reciprocated back to you, now you're just passing out love that you can't afford to pass out, because there you go, showing that you don't love yourself enough to kick them people out when they're not giving you that love. I was just in a live with one of the creators on TikTok. Her name is Nicole. She kicked her mother out of her life because her mother wasn't giving her the love that she needed as a daughter. More so coming around when she needs some money or trying to ask for some money, but ridiculing who she was, but never loving her as a mother to a daughter. So guess what? She took accountability and kicked her out. There is no guilt. There's no shame. She can love her from afar, but I don't have to have you directly in my life because you're not the best thing for me. A lot of y'all won't do that, thinking because that is your child, that is your parent, that is your homegirl. No, if they're not reciprocating what you're giving them, why are you still allowing them access to you? Just for me as a coach to have to hear the complaints. And when I tell you that I don't want to hear, you're going to think I'm being mean. No, I don't want to hear it, because you already knew that they shouldn't have been there. I don't have to tell you that. It's not a coach on earth that's going to tell you that. It's a therapist that will, because they're going to let you sit in that for however long you need to sit in that. That's why I'm a coach and not a therapist. I have no time to empathize or sympathize with you. Move along, ma'am. You're the cause of that demise. Now, how are we going to get past it? Committing to do better. Holding yourself to a higher standard so that you don't fall back into old patterns. I told y'all, January 1st coming, we're doing our vision board. You cannot allow those bad habits to be coming into this year expecting new results. That is a problem. You gotta let that stay back there where it's at. But you gotta stop blaming yourself because you had those bad habits, because we all had them at one point. They just can't move forward. Facing the upset and frustration. It's natural to feel angry, upset, or even embarrassed when you look back at how you allow others to treat you. I used to do it. I used to be cursing myself out because I couldn't believe that I allowed whoever to do whatever they did to me. But then it dawned on me, it was my fault. Because wherever I was at that place in my life, I allowed them to do that. They didn't do anything that they didn't have access to do to me. These emotions are valid. Understand that. They are valid. They are validated, okay? But they're also signals that it's time to make a change. If you feel anger, use it as your fuel to reinforce your boundaries and never accept less again. Okay? If you are frustrated, let it remind you to stay intentional about who you allow into your space. Vetting, roster, takes time. Not going to be done in 4 days. Not going to be done in 4 weeks. Vetting takes time. Regret, accept it as a part of your growth. While we want to regret some people who we laid down with, we want to regret people who we was friends with. Hell, I want to regret going to this girl that was spending my money with her getting my hair done. But no, that's where I was at that time of life. So guess what? I don't regret myself. I told myself that we're not going back, and I'm going to stand on that. Okay? So without these experiences, you wouldn't have learned what you did. So be thankful that you got the lessons, because without these experiences, where else was the lesson going to come from? Instead of dwelling on the past, channel these emotions into creating the future that you want. Manifestation. Telling the universe, thanking the universe in advance. Thank you for my new hairdresser who does my hair the way I want it. Thank you for my second work from home job. Thank you for a man who is vegan, that eats just like me, and who is very disciplined. These are the things that I'm already thanking the universe for, because I have no time to dwell on what came before today. I can't change it, but I can make sure it doesn't happen anymore in my future with these standards and these boundaries. Moving forward with the standards and boundaries. Once you've taken your accountability, it's time to set clear standards and enforce firm boundaries to protect your peace and ensure that you attract better connections. I told y'all from the beginning, boundaries and standards have to be set. You cannot expect anything different if you're still doing the same thing. Standards define what you want in your partner or relationships. These are your non-negotiables, your expectations. You expect this, you expect that. We're not ever going to relax them just to have somebody in our life. Boundaries establish limits to what you will and won't tolerate. Remember those likes, the dislikes, what you will compromise in and what you won't compromise with, what you won't tolerate at all. Boundaries. Here's an example. If someone disrespects me or crosses a line, I will address it once. And if it continues, I will walk away. That is a standard and a boundary. The standard is set. Don't disrespect me. The boundary is you do it the first time, I'm going to tell you about it. You do it again, I'm not speaking on nothing. I'm just going to move around you. Because that's you already had that one time. You don't have another chance. Standards and boundaries are acts of self-respect, and they show others how to treat you. They will learn how to treat you. But if you don't have any, they're going to treat you exactly how you want to be, how you don't want to be treated, because you don't know how to show them how to treat you or respect you or love you or befriend you. Here's a real life example. Imagine a woman who jumps from relationship to relationship, mistaking physical connection for emotional intimacy. Does this sound familiar to somebody? She doesn't realize that her lack of boundaries is allowing men to use her for the benefit of their sexual gratification without offering anything in return. Who am I talking to? Once she started loving herself, she recognized she was given too much too soon, hoping it would one day make the men stay. It didn't. She also realized she wasn't vetting potential partners to see if they would align with her values. The roster. She wasn't holding nobody to a set of expectations or standards. She was just going with the flow. She wasn't vetting them, but they were vetting her. She also realized she was seeking validation externally instead of from within, trying to determine if she is beautiful to this man. Does he like the way her body is? Does he like the way she thinks? Looking for them to like her because she did not like herself. She recognized that. By taking accountability, she stopped blaming men, and started focusing on her own choices. She set a higher standard for who she dated and enforced those boundaries that prioritize her emotional well-being. If you needed a real version, a real life, that is some of y'all life right now. And if you take the wheels and start letting other people move it for you and you start controlling your life, you're going to set those standards. You're going to set those boundaries. The self-respect is going to be evident. The self-love is going to be evident. You're going to understand your needs. You're going to know exactly what you want in your life, and then you're going to know how to convey all of that. And the moment somebody doesn't do what you need them to do, that's going to help you grow, you're going to know to walk away. That's where you should be at on this channel. That's where we should be at on the roster by now. But I can't get you on that part of the roster because you're still bringing the old habits into this. Saying, I can't do multiple men. I only can deal with one man at a time. Putting all your eggs in one basket, still getting the same results. It's not them, ma'am. I'm telling you. It's not you. It doesn't matter what you heard from Shira 7. It doesn't matter what you heard from Dating Coach Anwar. And I'm just using them as examples because I can't think of nobody else. Even that man with the beard. It doesn't matter what they are telling you. Until you start with you, everything they're saying is going to just be words. And it's never going to go anywhere because you're the problem. Accountability is not about punishing yourself for your past, because you can't change things that already happened, but you can grow from them. It's about recognizing how you lack self-love, you lack standards, you lack boundaries, and you allow certain people into your life that should not have been there based on where you was at that time in your life. Once you own your choices, you take back all the power that you gave to other people, because now you know it's you. Now you can do better because you know better. Now you will go heal. And you don't need a ton of books from the TikTok shop. Never Date Just One, sis. It's going to help you do that healing. 31 Days to Internal Satisfaction is going to help you do that healing. I am at odds of trying to figure out why y'all keep trying to buy all of these things and you're still getting the same results, because you're really not healing. And a part of that is taking accountability, what some of y'all fail to do. Use these experiences as lessons to set higher standards and enforce stronger boundaries. Your past doesn't define you, but how you grow from it will determine the quality of your future relationships, okay? So your past cannot be changed. You cannot go back and do nothing different, but what you can do is make sure that right now in your present, that you're getting yourself set for future relationships that are going to be able to be healthy and it's going to be able to pour back into you. Take accountability, sis. The more you take accountability for your actions, the more you're going to feel better. Because guess what? If you knew better then, you would have done better. But you know better now. We're moving into a new year, 2025. We're not taking any old baggage with us, and we're not going to be mad at ourselves for things that we cannot change. But what we will do is ensure that those things never happen again. Follow, like, subscribe, and share this channel. I want to see the views go up. I want to see the comments go up, because I know that a lot of y'all can't agree and relate to what I'm talking about. But you're still going to other channels and they're still sugarcoating things. At the end of the day, it's you. I don't have any time to sugarcoat anything with you. Unless you get you together, you will keep attracting the same mess from no good friends to no good men and lovers to no good children who don't respect you to no good family members who don't respect you as well. You're going to get the same thing, just in a different year. I will see you all on our next video on Monday. You have a great day.